Hello, friends. This is Chandrakant from Akulmach Technologies, and I welcome you all on this day on December when the Indian authorities have given approval to one of the COVID medicine, and that is called CoviShield in India. And this CoviShield is basically under license being manufactured by Indian companies. The license they obtained is from Oxford AstraZeneca. And to discuss this further, let me invite my friend from UK, Mr. Naval Good.
Good morning, CK. And what a landmark day it is, not just for India, but for the UK as well, because the authorities here have just approved the same vaccine. So, India and Britain, the UK, are aligned once again. We go back to 1947, and here we are working together in harmony, trying to kill something off that has been manufactured by somebody else. So, what a landmark day, and it's British born. This is actually a very, very unique vaccine. It probably, I don't think people understand, like me. I mean, I didn't understand what went on when you actually created a vaccine, and that's why it took years and years for a vaccine to be found for, the ailments that come from left field. If we imagine every year we get a flu jab, and that flu jab is slightly different from the year before. They know a little bit more about what flu viruses are out there, and they just modify the current flu jab just to include another few strains that are currently out there. So human beings are not averse to understanding that we get a flu jab every year, certainly in the Western world. But this particular vaccine is absolutely unique. Would you like to know why?
Yes, definitely, Naval. I would definitely like to know why it is so unique. But before we come to that, let me also inform the viewers that recently Indian authorities have approved a dry run of vaccination centers. The whole procedure of providing vaccination, and this is spread across 4 states, 2 districts each. And so these 8 districts in India will be creating a process of how do we administer the vaccination across all human beings. Uh, the Indian authorities want to vaccinate as much as 300 million people by August 2021. So I think it's a humongous task. The Indian authorities and health services are gearing up to handle the operational aspect of all of this. And and of course, the medicine is an important part of this whole exercise. And who will get first? So many vaccine producers have approached Indian authorities, and including Pfizer and this AstraZeneca as well. And there is an Indian company also which is under review right now. The Indian medicine is called Covaxin. However, the medicine which is coming from Oxford is very, very unique, and it is called in India called CoviShield, and this is the first one to get approved. So that means people who get the vaccination in the first few days or first few months will be this one, which is coming from Oxford. And now we would like to know more why it is so unique and why it is so novel. So, Neville, you can talk about it.
Well, the first thing we need to go and say it's cheap. It can be mass produced very, very cheaply. And the fundamental building block of this Oxford AstraZeneca collaboration was that it would be made freely available. So it's not surprising that India is one of the first to get out there and start using it and approving it. But the key thing is, it doesn't have to. It's just like the current flu vaccine. It's easily transportable. You don't have to have it in ridiculously low temperatures to transport it. It's got a longer shelf life. So that makes it more akin to what we're used to when it comes to vaccines, like a measles vaccine, a rubella vaccine, the flu vaccine. It's easily transportable. And those are the unique characteristics of this particular vaccine. But we need to go further. We need to go back and understand not just why this has been developed so quickly, because it is very different to the way others have been developed, but more importantly, where it's come from. It's come from a university. It's come from the academic arena. And you and I, we both come from that education arena. We got faith in our scientists, and this is where it's come from. It's come from a scientific review which started several years ago. Can we create, and the question was, can we create a base formula that can work anywhere if we just add something in? So like a plug and play, just like your iPhone. I want an app, plug an app in. I want to put speakers, plug it in. And that's what how this vaccine has been developed. So all they took, apparently, and I'm going to read this because it's important to say technically what's been done. They took a common cold virus that infected chimpanzees and engineered it to become the building block of a vaccine against almost anything. Before COVID, 330 people had been given, before COVID, this common base vaccine. They call it Chad Ox1, which apparently is known as chimpanzee adenovirus Oxford 1. So there's the technical term for it. But they've been given it for diseases ranging from flu to Zika virus, prostate cancer, and to tropical diseases such as chikungunya, I think.
Yes,
you chikungunya, all right? So this is an all-encompassing vaccine. And I suppose, and that's why it's different from everybody else, because the vaccines that we create typically come from poor strains of the virus itself, or weakened strains, or even killed out virus. And that's why it takes so long, and that's why you've got to spend millions of dollars producing the vaccine. But this is very different. It actually takes a genetic footprint and plugs in a strain. So this is why this is not just unique in its design, but it could be unique in fighting lots of other things. So perhaps the next coronavirus that comes down the pike can actually be, the vaccine can be found much quicker. And remember, this is very cheap. This is low cost, which appeals to everybody. So it's easy to distribute. We'll talk about the distribution piece because you mentioned something that's incredibly important. It's okay having something, but if you can't distribute it, it just sits on the shelves. And that's a message actually for our entrepreneurs out there. Once you've developed it, get it out there, distribute it. Otherwise, people aren't going to hear about it. But anyway, back to this vaccine. It is really a landmark. This is a global impact as far as we can see. I don't think people are shouting from the hills as much as they should be shouting. I think all of the Oxford dons that have been involved in this are probably just so tired that eventually all of their hard work has been approved. And now we can get some sort of sense of normality back to the world. The other thing is, by the way, is that it can take longer in between doses. So that means whatever storage you've got today, that can be quickly implemented to a large population, the full population of the amount you've stored, because your reproduction rate is quite quick, but your implementation date is quite long. So in other words, I can, if I've got 4 million doses, apparently that we've got in the UK today, I can inject 4 million people, not 2 million, and then with the second 2 million, I can inject 4 million people, knowing that the manufacturing process is very quick, very cheap, easily repeatable, and by the time the first of those 4 million need to be re-injected with a second dose, I've got more than enough in storage to be able to completely make people immune, or give them the best chance of being immune to this particularly nasty virus. So there's so many really good moving parts here, and entrepreneurs actually need to look at this, because this is this is a process. This is a success case that if you look at the components, you can really get a feel for what you should be doing and being ahead of the game.
Right, Neville. So, since we are discussing about the AstraZeneca, have you heard anything coming in the media or any such report in the UK where it is publicized that any side effects are there or any warnings associated with this vaccine?
There, like anything else, there are always side effects to anything, paracetamols and any antibiotic, etc., etc. And the thing is, this has been tested to a level where the side effects are understood. So there isn't an awarding authority out there, and we need to explain to people this isn't a government authority. This is an independent awarding authority. So it's their reputation that's at stake here, and they're not going to rush something through just because it's going to be the benefit of some particular government or another. So this is an independent body of of incredibly experienced scientists that have gone through all the data, all the research that's been done and presented, probably asked for more, um, and in those circumstances, we've heard of. Before I talk a little bit about side effects, we've heard of this particular vaccine had some unusual impacts. So accidentally, when people were being tested with this vaccine, some people only got half a dose at the beginning, and then they got a full dose. And interestingly enough, the results from those people, and there weren't many, there were only a few, because it was realised that they'd only been given half a dose, so everyone else got the full dose. So, but they thought, well, we've done this, so we'll just monitor it. And it was only a few people, but they got half a dose and a full dose. They were better prepared, better vaccinated than the two full doses. So this is where they got higher than 95% efficacy. Today, they don't understand why. And unfortunately, because of the small sample, they couldn't, the awarding authority would not approve the half followed by full. The only thing that's been approved so far is full followed by full. But hopefully, there's more testing going on as we speak that are completing that original mistake into a full-blown test of half a dose followed by a full dose, just to test whether or not this was an aberration or it's a far better route forward to have a half dose than a full dose. And again, sometimes you ride your luck, and maybe they've stumbled upon something that's really rather unique. But as opposed to side effects, human body is an amazing thing. There will be a side effect. With the Pfizer, there was this furor over the first people that were vaccinated had huge side effects, and the journalists just went rife. And the reality was, when they traced it all back down, it was a couple of people that happened to be medical professionals that had a slight inflammation, as you do sometimes. When you have an injection, sometimes it's fine, and on occasions you get a slight inflammation. And so therefore they changed the protocol, they changed the SOP, so that all you had to do was wait 15 minutes before you left the premises. So it's a cooling down period. Um, we don't know what's going to happen with this because, again, the mass testing hasn't been done. There's been a considerable amount of testing, but now we're into mass indoctrination. So we don't really know what's going to be happening. But I'm sure the SOP, the same protocol, will exist in that have the injection, wait a few minutes, and then let the person leave.
Right, Naval. So the preparation being done in India, what we've heard is that there are special centers being created where for the COVID vaccination, and the health workers will be trained on the SOPs. And primarily, these vaccination centers will have three zones. One is where the waiting area of the patient. So there will be some documentation that can be done before the vaccination is given to the patient. Then actual vaccination room, and then there is a waiting area after the vaccination, so that we can handle these situations. So I think the standard SOPs are being created here in India because the Indian government and the different state governments are gearing up to finish their job of vaccinating one third population of India, which is the target is 300 billion. And I think the point that you made earlier during our discussion was about the distribution of medicine. And if CoviShield, which is the Indian name of AstraZeneca, if it can survive, it can be transported at room temperature in bulk without any problem, then definitely in a country like India, it's a very good thing because if we have to transport Pfizer medicine, which has to be stored in minus 78 degrees, it is very difficult in a country like India where uh, after February the sun starts getting very hot and it creates a operational hazard. So I think that is one thing. And second thing is that the pool of people which are available in India are very diversified. You know, there are gene pool from all over the world, and that makes us a truly mixed breed population here. So I think it's a good exercise where, as you said, that the Oxford and these people are not having any interest, any business interest. They just want to help the mankind, and they are coming from the education arena. Uh, Unlike any other company which wants to make millions of dollars out of these vaccinations. So the people behind this medicine have no commercial interest. So I think that makes it very unique. And another piece of information I would like to give you, Neville, is that Prime Minister Boris is going to attend our Republic Day celebration on 26th January. And I think it's about the same time when the vaccination drive will start in India. I don't have the exact date, but I think I will consider that it is a good gift to India from UK.
Well, that's a really interesting piece of news, and these things sort of align for a reason, don't they? And as you rightly say, there's some key components of this that make it easy. That- Let's not let's not dismiss the Pfizer vaccine though, because it can be used in different areas. So our healthcare workers, for instance, that work in hospitals, it's a perfect opportunity for the Pfizer vaccine now, given the other vaccines available, is to be concentrated on our frontline professionals. That's not to say one's better than the other, because they haven't proven that. That's the whole point of efficacy. It's the whole point of independent testing. So it's a great collaboration that companies around the world have actually gone after this together. And I expect the first thought in their mind was to find a vaccine, and the last thought in their mind was to make a profit. But the good news is, I think there's so much is needed that everyone is going to be catered for. Because there'll certainly be billionaires out there that will want to have this opportunity now. And maybe this Oxford AstraZeneca new vaccine gives them the opportunity to go and buy the Pfizer vaccine or any other vaccine. Um, but the main thing is it's going to get to the right people so that we can protect everybody against this particularly nasty virus. It's a war we didn't want to fight. This was World War III. effectively.
Absolutely. And while we are talking about this, Neville, yesterday I told you that there are 6 patients with a UK strain. I'm sorry to say this word because there is no other word right now in our dictionary. It's called UK strain. But today it is 20. So I was talking with my colleagues in the office and saying that, hey, it has come from UK. So I clarified, it was already there. It's just that we started testing them now because UK has given us the information. So so I
Well,
think
you never know. You never know with this. But let's just go back to this part about the implementation because I think it's really important as well. And the only way um, to immunize 1.4 billion people is to have this global, like corporate approach to making it work. And we talk about SOPs, which for people that really don't know, it's standard operating practices. And we have them everywhere. In the corporate world, we have them all the time. Sometimes they're called policies or procedures. But in this particular instance, we do need that logistical, almost like military process to make sure that this happens quickly, efficiently, effectively, so that we don't waste the vaccine. Everyone gets the same opportunity, and we immunize literally everybody um, over time. Because one thing's for sure is that there is another one coming. There is another virus on its way. We may not have heard about it, but it's already there. And it's just a question of when it comes and how fast it goes. Hopefully, we'll have the mindset and the tools to compete with it next time. But it is World War III. That's effectively what we should be calling this.
you're absolutely right, Neville, because a couple of days back, WHO also announced that the coronavirus outbreak is just the beginning. So I think you're absolutely right when you talk about being, mankind to be prepared is something that we need to be prepared. We need to maintain our cleanliness. We need to maintain social distancing, and we need to do all those SOPs as you mentioned. Get the vaccination done. So this story is just evolving in India. It is also evolving in UK. We will track it, and when it happens, we will come back on this discussion table and discuss with you, Neville. So for today, thank you very much for finding time. We will catch up with you tomorrow again with something more interesting.
My pleasure. And everybody, be safe, wash your hands, social distance, and we can all live a happy life.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.